Sex, life, and tech. If you're 21 or 101, we love them all. Welcome to Age Blind with Nancy AF.
Hey, boys and girls, it's Nancy A. Shenker, also known as Nancy AF, from Age Blind. And my gift to you this holiday season are some great statistics about holiday gifting and a terrific guest who knows a lot about gifting, toys, and other stuff of the season. So here are some fun facts. By the way, I am broadcasting today from the lovely Crown Plaza in Annapolis, Maryland, where I'm visiting my daughters and my grandkids, and there are, of course, many gifts involved. So hence the tacky drapes and the ugly lamp behind me for those of you who happen to be watching on YouTube. Anyway, as I said, my gift to you this holiday season, among other things, are some statistics. So here's a good one. We spend, on average, $650 per person. In other words, each of us buys $650 worth of holiday gifts. And the most popular items, interestingly, are gift cards, clothes, and toys. So the old-fashioned cash has now been replaced by pieces of plastic, and you could buy them absolutely anywhere. But here's a great statistic, which is very germane to what we're going to be talking about today. A whopping 33% of gifts are returned. So the lesson there is if you're not really sure who somebody is, or you don't know what they want, you're probably better off sticking to gift cards. So that's why today's episode is going to offer up some great tips for picking gifts and some unique gift suggestions. So welcome, Mike Drake. How do you know so much about gifts and toys?
Well, first, let me say that, I'm broadcasting from New York and I live here. So anything tacky you see behind me is my own decorative choice.
Love that.
In the toy industry for decades. I started out at Toys R Us, actually in the stores, and then I was in the main office. I was one of the people that helped develop Toys R Us Times Square, which is sadly gone now. And then I was in the manufacturing side with a large toy company, and now I'm just freelance. So I've spent a lot of time around toys on both sides of the aisle.
Right. And you were telling me before we went live that you and your honey buy gifts for each other all year long. And I was telling you about the 5 love languages, which is a very fun quiz that you could take with a significant other or even with a family member. And one of the 5 love languages is gifts. So let's just talk a little bit about that. What is your whole philosophy of gifts?
Well, for gifts, specifically for my other half, we just buy gifts for each other throughout the year. So if I see something that he likes, I'll get it for him. And if he sees something that he thinks I'll like, he gets it for me. So we're constantly surprising each other with gifts. So Christmas is not so much a big deal. And often we don't even buy gifts for each other for Christmas because we have everything we need already. For other people, I like to buy things that I think that they need or I know that they want, but they won't buy for themselves. I find many times people are very giving for others. They'll buy anything for their kids. They'll buy anything for their spouse, but they don't want to buy the thing that they want for themselves because they feel bad spending the money on themselves. And that's the type of thing you want to buy. And also, I enjoy giving things that may seem practical. People don't think that people don't realize that they need. So, for example, if I have a friend that's moving into a new apartment, I'll buy a bucket and fill it with cleaning supplies and give that to them. And they'll think, thank you, I didn't realize I needed less toil and a scrub brush and a mop. But then I'll always hear from them a couple of weeks later and they'll go, we used everything in that bucket. And it's like, well, of course you did. You just didn't realize that you needed it.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally get that. But, I think sometimes people, now I'm talking about adult gifts, not toys. I mean, kids are, can be really impractical. They could see something on a shelf. In fact, I taught my daughters that lesson very early on, that when you see outside the box a bunch of kids having fun with something and it looks like, they're at Disney World, the reality is what's inside the box is probably going to be little pieces of plastic, that it doesn't look as glamorous as the packaging. So like food packaging, toy packaging is very, dare I say, heinous. Like, they want to create this illusion that you're going to get this thing and you're suddenly going to be smiling and laughing. But some of the oldies are still, they really withstood the test of time. I was playing Kids Monopoly with my grandkids the other day,
Mhm.
and the gestalt behind that game of just like making money and being a titan of industry, that's something that is kind of timeless. It's amazing to see how many toys and gifts have withstood the test of time.
Oh, you're 100% right. And I must admit, I enjoy Kids Monopoly more than regular Monopoly because you can finish the game in a decent amount of time.
Normally, I mean, this game ended up being like a total death match. I went bankrupt pretty early on, and then
Oh,
my
wow.
grandkids joined forces and beat my daughter. So, yeah, I mean, there are gifts that have really withstood the test of time. Again, being down in Maryland visiting the kids and grandkids, I saw Mr. Potato Head, not with the original
Yes.
potato, but like the plastic potato. And then there are all kinds of spin-offs, and I think there's like a potato head dog now, and probably a potato head robot at some point.
But actually, Potato Head has really expanded. And there's so many variations now, and they also license it out. So there's even more than you realize. They're probably in the thousands of potatoes now.
Wow. Wow. So let's now get to some really specific gift
Mhm.
ideas. Like, as I said, when in doubt, buy the gift card. You could find them at CVS, you could find them at Walgreens. The big grocery store near me is Fry's, and they have a giant display of branded gift cards as well as generic MasterCard, Visa. Amazon sells everything. But if you want to support small business and you live locally, or even if you don't, like, find a great local store or restaurant near where the person you want to gift
Mhm.
is and get them that.
On top of that, building on that, I also like to give subscriptions to things.
Great idea.
There's a bagel company here in New York, of course, called New Yorker Bagels. And when I have a friend that moves to another state, I always give them a subscription to New Yorker Bagels so they can have a little taste every month of what they left behind
Love
foolishly.
that. Love that. Or my daughter's in-laws are from Michigan, and
Mhm.
so sometimes I'll find like Michigan Basket Company and send them nostalgic food from their home state.
Oh, see,
So if you want to get creative and gift things rather than cards, there are lots and lots of options. Experiences as a gift, marginally selfish, but if there's a band coming to your town and you really want to see them and your friend is a fan, there's no harm in buying 2 tickets. And if they don't ask you to go along with them, then maybe they're not your friend. But a shared experience could be really powerful. Or if you don't live near them, just even buy if you know what someone's tastes are, buying them
mhm,
tickets. The danger with that is if they're not free that date that you invited them
mhm.
for, that could be a disappointment. So that's one of your other screening criteria. Is it personalized? Is it practical? And most important, what do you want their face to look like when they open that envelope or that box?
Well, you see, in addition to trying to be thoughtful, I do have a very soft spot in my heart for extremely impractical gifts because that's the type of thing that a person won't buy for themselves.
Exactly. And for those of
And
you who look at my Substack, I'm going to be publishing this week Mike's, or not, maybe not this week, the week the episode comes out, whenever that
mhm,
is. I don't know that offhand, but it will be Mike's list of gift picks. And they are definitely highly personalized for certain kinds of giftees and fans. So, yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Mike. If you can just go back to your philosophy of unique gifting.
no, that's okay. I like something where, well, as I was saying earlier before we were on camera, I have several nieces and nephews, and I feel as an uncle, it's my duty to give them impractical gifts that my brother and sister will hate me for. So if you ask my niece and my nephew, I'm a great, fun uncle. If you ask my brother and sister, they're going to say I give the worst gifts.
Oh, I'm sure. Like we were saying, live animals, no matter who your
Well, no, you
family
can.
is, not a good gift. People will
Well,
hate
maybe
you for all
monkey, but that
eternity.
I'm big. It's funny. I like to give. This is going to sound horrible. I like to give weapons as
Ooh,
gifts, but not really dangerous things like Nerf swords. There's a company, Factor Entertainment. They're doing live action role play He-Man swords, so it looks exactly like He-Man's sword, but it's life size and it's foam coated, so you can whack each other with it. And it's really fun, but highly impractical. Years ago, my brother was in the Marine Corps, and I didn't realize this, but when you graduate the Marine Corps, you don't get to keep your sword, but you can buy the sword. So
interesting.
for Christmas, I bought him his sword from the Marine Corps. And he went to do the thing like they do in the commercial where you hold the sword up to your face, and he cut his lip. And my mother instituted the no more swords for Christmas rule.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you clearly are a funkle buying your nephew's weapons. I'm not a big weapons fan, although I did notice when I was visiting that my grandson does have a cap gun, so I guess you can't prevent it, so you might as well lean into it. I mentioned this on my Instagram videos. If you're getting toys for an adult, Target now has an entire section on their website of sex toys. So if you're too embarrassed to get something really racy, you could just buy it along with your Target gift card or your laundry detergent, which I thought was kind of interesting. Speaking of like gifts that, maybe would make somebody blush or somebody unhappy, you have many, many options there. Just, be really careful who you're giving it to and when you're giving it. So let's get a little bit personal, not talking about sex toys anymore, but what's the most memorable gift that you ever received?
When I was a very small child, I got a stuffed Snoopy, and I carried Snoopy around with me for years, and I actually still have him in a closet somewhere. I loved my Snoopy. He was my favorite toy, but I have to say my second favorite toy was GI Joe. I was a huge GI Joe fan. This was back in the six when GI Joe was still 12 inches tall before he became the little 3 3/4 inch action figure, and I think that's the best toy that was ever created for in the history of toydom. I know everybody thinks Barbie's so wonderful, and I'm sure she is, but GI Joe was amazing.
Well, just to give some insight into what a warped little kid I was, I used to take my brother's G.I. Joe and dress
Mhm.
him up in my Barbie tutu. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I would I mean, I think any basic toy that encourages creative play, whether it's, little dolls in the military or fashion dolls or even just like stuffed animals, making up stories around them, it's really about the experiences and the memories and not just the stuff. Like I couldn't tell you what, my dolls were dressed in back then, but I can tell you about the creative stories that I would make up around my played dolls. And kids are wildly creative. They will make up all kinds of things around the stuff that they get. And what about in your adult life? Is there anything that anybody has gotten you as an adult that is particularly memorable?
Mm. There have been many wonderful gifts, but nothing particularly memorable. I'm sorry to say.
Aw, that's kind of sad. Just throwing some other ideas out there, again, like tying gifting to the people in your life. If you have a friend or a colleague who is a podcaster and you get invited to White Elephant, they make some really, really inexpensive, high quality, portable microphones and laptop lifts. And as Mike was saying earlier, sometimes, like when you're giving someone something practical, it doesn't have to be cleaning supplies. It could be something related to what they do for a living that is useful. Tripods, there are lots of as you could tell, I'm a gadget girl. Hint, hint, hint. Santa, if you're listening, this is what's on my holiday list this year. And I usually gift myself a few things every year because I don't know if I'm going to get what I really want for the holidays. So I buy a couple things, I wrap them up, put them under my sequin tree and menorah, and then on Christmas morning, I unwrap them. So gifting yourself is also not a bad strategy.
I'll go with that.
So, other any other holiday tips? As I said, I'm going to be sharing Mike's quirky gift list with our viewers and listeners. And any other words of wisdom you have, Mike, as far as gifting this holiday season? What do
Uh,
you think are going to be some of the most popular toys this year?
for toys, I think there's well, not I think there's this item called the Magic's Crystal Ball that is huge right now and is going to become more huge because they just put it out the beginning of December, the end of November. So word of mouth hasn't spread, but uh, people are rushing to stores to purchase them. It's a crystal ball that has either a fairy or a dragon in it, and you can talk to it and it answers back. And when you say it's powered by AI, people get like, oh no, that's terrible, especially with that incident with the teddy bear last week. But this has great safeguards on it. So it's not going to tell your kids, things it shouldn't be saying. And it's really, really fun. And I was playing with one and I thought it was just going to be something I was going to do for 2 or 3 minutes. And I looked up and a half hour had gone by.
Wow. So it's like this, you know, back when I was a kid, we had Chatty Cathy. We've always
Mhm.
talked to inanimate objects.
Yes.
And then, there was Tamagotchi, and there's always been like an inanimate object that you talk to. So what did you say this one's called? iMagic?
The iMagic's crystal ball.
All right, you heard it here first, boys and girls. It is bigger than a Labubu. So if you could find one, and again, I'm not getting any royalties from this, but it sounds intriguing. I'm a big AI and technology fan, so give a thumbs up. I may have to buy one for myself.
You should. And also a big fan of giving magazine subscriptions
I
because A,
know.
support print media, and B, I have so many friends that are like, oh, I love to read whatever, but I always forget to buy it at the newsstand or I missed the latest issue. And you buy a subscription, and a subscription is A, much cheaper than buying them at the newsstand. And B, you often get it earlier than it arrives at the newsstand.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of the subscriptions now either
Hmm.
enable you to do a digital only subscription
Yes.
or you buy the print and you get the digital. So this
Hmm.
year, I've always been a New Yorker reader, but
Yes.
I let my subscription lapse. Sorry, New Yorker. And I got the Atlantic for myself. And I'm able to now access all of their online content. And I sometimes gift an article to friends or relatives that I think would be interested in an article because as more and more content becomes gated, which
Hmm.
means you have to go through a paywall to get it,
Hmm.
getting an actual meaningful article from somebody can be a gift in the off season. So
Yeah.
that's a great point, Mike. So we are giving you back the gift of time. Our episodes are only 20 minutes, so we're wrapping up this holiday season. We have one more episode to record before the year is out. That's going to be an amazing one. It's what I call a salt box, sex, life, and tech across generations. And that will be our end of year holiday celebration episode. So I encourage you all to tune in to that. You could find me, obviously, if you're listening or watching, you found me already, but please follow me on Instagram, nancyaf_, or my marketing company, theonswitch.com. And that would be your gift to me this holiday season is more subscribers, more followers, or buying some of my books on Amazon to gift to your friends or relatives. I've written 11 books, I think, so far, and you could buy any of them or all of them. They make great stocking stuffers. So enough shameless promotion. Mike, if people want to get in touch with you and see what you do, where is the best way to find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Krampus, Krampus, New York, or they could look me up on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mike, and
Thank you for having me. It
wishing
was
you a
such a
happy
joy to be here.
holiday. May you
Same to
find
you.
everything you want under your tree or menorah or Kwanzaa candles or whoever delivers your gifts. And remember, everybody, yes, gifts are wonderful, but a timeless lesson is that it's the thought that counts. So be sure you buy people something thoughtful that really shows that you know who they are and what they want, even if it is just a gift card, because that's what most people say they want. So go for it. And again, thank you all. Remember to be age blind. Have a wonderful holiday season. Peace out.